7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
E3, D6, F3, E5, G3, E4, H3, E takes F3, D3, Knight F6, C3, Bishop E7, B3, Short Castle, A3, Bishop E6, Queen D2, Knight C6, Bishop E2, F2 check, King takes F2. E4, D6, D4, E5, D takes E5, D takes E5, Queen takes D8 check, King takes D8, Knight F3, King E7, Knight takes E5, F6, Knight F7, King takes F7, Bishop D3, Knight C6, Bishop E3. D4, D6, E3, C6, F4, B6, Knight F3, A6, Bishop D3, Knight D7, Short Castle, Rook A7, D5, Bishop B7, D takes C6, Bishop takes C6, E4, Bishop B5, Bishop takes B5, A takes B5, Knight C3, Rook B7. E4, D6, D4, E5, D takes E5, D takes E5, Queen takes D8 check, King takes D8, Knight F3, F6, Knight takes E5, F takes E5, Knight C3, Knight C6, Bishop E3, Knight F6, Bishop D3, Bishop D6, Long Castle, Bishop E6, F3. D4, D6, E3, Bishop G4, F4, Bishop takes D1, King takes D1, E5, F takes E5, D takes E5, D5, C6, E4, C takes D5, King E2, D takes E4, King F2. D4, D5, E3, Knight c6. f4. Knight f6. Knight f3. e6. Bishop d3. Bishop e7. Short castle. Short castle. h3. Bishop d7. c3. h6. c4. d takes c4. Bishop takes c4. Knight a5. Bishop d3. Knight c6. e4. d6. e5. d takes e5. Knight f3. e4. Knight e5. Knight c6. Queen h5. g6. Knight takes c6. G takes h5. Knight takes d8. King takes d8. Bishop e2. e5. d4. g6. e3. Bishop g7. f4. Bishop f6. Knight f3. Knight h6. Bishop d3. Knight g4. h3. Knight f2. King takes f2. c6. Knight c3. b6. Bishop d2. b5. Queen e2. c5. e4. c5. e3. c takes d4. f4. Knight c6. e takes d4. Knight takes d4. Queen takes d4. Knight f6. Queen d3. e6. Knight f3. Bishop e7. Bishop e2. Short castle. Short castle. Knight f3. d6. g3. e5. Bishop g2. Knight f6. e3. Bishop e7. Queen e2. Short castle. Short castle. Knight c6. d3. Bishop e6. e4. d4. c6. e3. Queen b6. f4. Knight f6. Knight f3. Knight g4. Bishop d3. Knight f2. King takes f2. e6. Rook e1. Bishop e7. Knight c3. Queen d8. Bishop d2. Bishop h4 check. Knight takes h4. Queen takes h4 check. g3. Queen e7. e3. d6. d4. e5. f4. e takes d4. e takes d4. Knight f6. c3. Bishop e7. Knight f3. Short castle. Bishop d3. Bishop g4. Short castle. Knight c6. Queen b3. d5. Queen takes b7. Bishop d7. Knight e5. Knight takes e5. D4, D5, E3, E6, F4, Knight C6, Knight F3, Bishop B4 check, C3, Bishop D6, Bishop D3, Knight F6, short castle, Knight E4, H3, Knight F2, Rook takes F2, Bishop D7, Rook F1, H6, Knight BD2, short castle, D4, D6, C4, E5, Knight C3, E takes D4, Knight F3, D takes C3, B takes C3, Knight F6, Bishop G5, Bishop E7, Bishop takes F6, Bishop takes F6, E3, short castle, Bishop E2, Bishop E6, short castle, E4, D6, Knight F3, E5, Bishop C4, Knight F6, D4, E takes D4, C3, D takes C3, B takes C3, Knight takes E4, Knight BD2, Knight F6, Knight E4, Bishop E7, Queen E2, short castle, D4, Knight F6, E3, E6, F4, Bishop B4 check, C3, Bishop takes C3 check, B takes C3, Knight E4, Knight F3, Knight F2, King takes F2, Queen H4 check, Knight takes H4, G5, Knight F3, G4, Knight FD2, F5, G3, H5, Bishop G2, D4, D6, C4, E5, Knight C3, E takes D4, Knight F3, D takes C3, B takes C3, Knight F6, Bishop G5, Bishop E7, Bishop takes F6, Bishop takes F6, E3, short castle, Bishop E2, Bishop E6, D4, E6, E3, Bishop E7, F4, D6, Knight F3, C6, Bishop D3, B6, D5, Bishop B7, D takes E6, F takes E6, Knight C3, Knight F6, Bishop D2, Queen C7, Queen E2, Knight BD7, long castle, F4, D6, E3, E5, C3, E takes f4. E takes f4. Knight f6. d4. Bishop e7. Knight f3. Short castle. Bishop e2. c5. Short castle. C takes d4. Rook e1. D takes c3. Knight takes c3. Knight c6. Bishop d2. Rook e8. Bishop d3. d4. c5. e3. C takes d4. E takes d4. Knight f6. Knight f3. e6. Bishop d3. Bishop e7. Short castle. Short castle. c3. d5. Bishop e3. a6. Knight bd2. b5. Knight b3. Bishop b7. Queen c2. d4. e5. e3. e4. f3. Knight f6. F takes e4. Knight takes e4. Knight f3. Knight f6. Knight c3. Knight c6. Bishop d3. Knight d5. Knight takes d5. Queen g5. Knight c3. Queen b5. Bishop takes b5. a6. Bishop d3. a5. g4. d6. Bishop g2. e5. h3. Knight c6. d4. E takes d4. c3. D takes c3. Knight takes c3. Knight f6. Knight f3. Bishop e7. g5. Knight h5. Knight d4. g6. Knight takes c6. B takes c6. Queen d4. d4. c6. e3. d5. f4. Knight f6. Knight f3. e6. Bishop d3. Bishop e7. Short castle. Short castle. h3. h6. c4. D takes c4. Bishop takes c4. d4. e6. e3. d5. f4. c5. Knight f3. C takes d4. E takes d4. Knight c6. Bishop d3. Queen c7. c3. Bishop d6. Short castle. f6. Rook e1. e5. F takes e5. g3. d6. Bishop g2. e5. c3. Knight c6. d3. Bishop d7. e3. Knight f6. Knight e2. e4. Short castle. E takes d3. Queen takes d3. Bishop e7. Queen d1. Short castle. d4. d6. c4. e5. Knight c3. E takes d4. Knight f3. D takes c3. B takes c3. Knight f6. Bishop g5. Bishop e7. Bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6. e3. Short castle. Bishop e2. Bishop e6. Short castle. Bishop takes c4. Bishop takes c4. Knight c6. Bishop e2. Queen d7. e4. g6. e3. Bishop g7. f4. d6. Knight f3. Bishop g4. Bishop d3. Bishop takes f3. Queen takes f3. Bishop takes d4. E takes d4. f6. Knight c3. Knight c6. Bishop e3. Knight takes d4. e4. d6. g3. e5. Bishop g2. Knight f6. Knight e2. Bishop e7. Short castle. Short castle. Knight bc3. Knight c6. Knight d5. Bishop e6. Knight takes e7 check. Queen takes e7. d4. E takes d4. Knight takes d4. d4. Knight f6. e3. e5. f4. E takes d4. E takes d4. d5. Knight f3. c5. Bishop e2. C takes d4. Short castle. Bishop c5. Knight takes d4. Bishop takes d4 check. Queen takes d4. Knight c6. Queen d3. Knight d4. Queen takes d4. Knight e4. Queen d3. Knight d2. Queen takes d2. d4. Queen d3. Bishop f5. e4. d6. g3. e5. Bishop g2. Knight f6. Knight e2. Bishop e7. Short castle. Short castle. Knight bc3. Knight c6. Knight d5. Bishop e6. Knight takes e7 check. Queen takes e7. d3. Queen d7. Bishop e3. d5. E takes d5. d4. e6. e3. d5. f4. Knight f6. Knight f3. Bishop e7. Bishop d3. c5. Short castle. C takes d4. E takes d4. Knight c6. c3. Bishop d6. h3. h6, f5, e4, d6, knight f3, e5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop b5 check, c6, bishop c4, bishop e7, d4, short castle, d takes e5, d takes e5, knight takes e5, queen takes d1 check, king takes d1, bishop e6, d3, e6, e3, d5, knight f3, c5, bishop e2, c4, d takes c4, d takes c4, short castle, knight c6, queen takes d8 check, knight takes d8,